Hey everybody. Hope you're all staying safe and enjoying a more leisurely lifestyle than normal. Making this video is not how I think any of us thought this year in campus country would come to an end. But here we are. I hope that in the past few weeks, you departing members have had a chance to reflect on your time in the group and what it meant to you. And I'll hope you'll mostly remember the good parts, like the friendships you've made and the experiences you've had, and hopefully not feel too bitter about our shortened year. It's definitely not fair, but that's just how it goes sometimes. And since we are unable to have our last concert like we normally would, where I traditionally would bid all those departing members farewell, I'm substituting with a video. So I know it's not the same, but hopefully you and your friends and your family will still enjoy it almost as much. So the first member I'd like to speak about is Stacia. Statia's pretty nuts sometimes. She's really funny. She's really unpredictable. And although I've already mentioned it this year, I think my favorite recent memory of her is definitely when a bird flew into our rehearsal room and y'all were there. She freaked out. She was not much help in our crisis. She just straight up bolted for the door. I remember everybody else was pretty panicked, but not quite like her. But John was there to save us. So good job, John. Nice work. But my favorite all time memory of Stacia is actually from last year. And there's a video up where it's her and Michaela and Colby singing Company You Keep. And she's got this little dance going. And she's got some slippers on. And she's kicking her feet out all crazy. And I just remember thinking it was hilarious. And I hardly noticed it when I was recording it. But I remember watching it back after rehearsal, just wondering what in the world she was doing. It was just a very Stacia thing to do. She's obviously a fantastic vocalist. She's one of the best low harmony singers I think Campus Country's ever had. Rumor even has it that there was a show back in the fall where she sang on like 22 of our songs, and when I heard that, I kind of thought for a second. I was like, that can't be right. But then I was like, well, I mean, I'm picking the people singing these harmonies. She must have been doing a really good job, and obviously she was. So she's really helped us out over the years, especially with her harmony singing and her comedy. And I've been happy to see her sort of try to teach some of these younger members as best she can how to find and how to sing these low harmonies. So we're going to miss you, Stacia, but I'm sure these younger members will do you proud and do some good low harmony singing next year. Up next, we got the man himself, Mr. Easton Isbell. Easton is for sure one of the hardest workers, one of the most reliable members I've ever had in the group. He's always early for stuff, sometimes earlier for me, even on those days where I was bringing you guys breakfast. He pretty much never fusses about moving equipment. He always does the jobs that people do not want to do. And he's even been coming along a little bit as a guitar player from what I've been seeing from some videos he's posted. What I hate most for Easton is that he never got to perform at a Showtime with one of the shows named after his song. The one coming up this week was going to be called Cover Me Up, and it's unfortunate that that happened to Easton. But in a way, it's almost kind of fitting because he's really humble, and I know he's probably sad that, this didn't work out for him, but I know he's the guy that is just going to move on and think about the other things that he's thankful for. So I don't think he's really going to stress about this just too much. I think one of the coolest experiences for him and for me this year was having his sister AC in the group. That's just such a unique experience. I don't really think that's ever happened in campus country, from what I'm aware of, having a brother and sister in the group at the same time. And it's just a special thing to be able to be in a group and make music with a family member like they were able to. So I'm especially happy that they got to sing a song together on the February show, because little did we know that was going to be the last one. So, Easton, just know you'll be missed, and we wish you well, man. So, up next, I gotta call him out. Are we having fun yet, or what? Hopefully, Brett's watching this video and he's making some noise right now. If you've seen any show recently, that's always my cue to look over at Mr. Game Day himself, and he'll hype up the crowd for me. Brett, to me, is an essential personality and component of campus country these last few years. I just can't think of somebody I've really ever worked with who's more energetic, more enthusiastic. And even though he's very positive and optimistic, just like Miles, our other electric guitar player, they're just so completely opposite, and they work really, really well together. Brett just exudes joy, and it's infectious. It's hard to even get onto Brett sometimes because he's so likable. But that didn't stop me. In fact, one of my last memories from rehearsal this year was telling Brett to take a lap after getting onto him for playing during a section of Tennessee Whiskey that the band had been driving me crazy about playing on. And this isn't official. I didn't have a stopwatch, but I got to say that's for sure the fastest lap time ever clocked around Heinz Hall. So that goes to Brett Horner. What made it even funnier was, unbeknownst to him, while he's running his lap, we pick up in the middle of Tennessee Whiskey again, leading into that section. And what does Brett do? He scrambles back into the room. He sits in his chair, and he plays exactly where he was supposed to not play, right where he played the first time. So we all had a good laugh. Didn't make him take another lap, although that would have probably been pretty funny too. So I'll never forget Brett. I think of anyone I've ever had, he's got to be one of the most universally liked in the group. He was universally liked in last year's group. He's just a great guy to know, a great guy to work with, and a side piece no more. I now pronounce him Dr. Game Day. You've moved up, man. We'll miss you, buddy. And that brings me to our other electric guitar player, Mr. Miles Brandon. I remember being very excited when Miles auditioned for Campus Country. He was already showing a lot of potential on guitar, and I was excited to see what he might do in the context of the group. And man, he's done a lot. Miles has outworked and grown more than any Campus Country member I've ever had. He's a great role model to the younger members in the band, and I really just think his presence has elevated the work ethic of the group more than anyone else. He's extremely humble and positive, and he just gets so excited when somebody else plays something that he likes. Normally it's a major or minor 7-chord. But one of my favorite things about Miles is how much he's actually come to enjoy playing country music. He even told me in the last year that he'd really like to find himself playing for a country artist professionally one day, and I think that would really, really suit him. Miles has also had a really positive impact on Campus Country's image and crowd sizes at a lot of our shows. As some of you know, he was in marching band before he joined Campus Country, and he really brought a lot of his friends over to come watch us and hopefully become fans of the group. So Shout out to the Northeast Tiger Band. Shout out to Mr. Mitchell out there. All you band folks, we love y'all. So Miles is basically irreplaceable, and we're going to be worse off without him. That's just how it's going to be. But I'm confident that his influence will carry into next year, and we'll work even harder to make up for his absence. So we're gonna miss you, buddy. That's a bat. Well, that brings me to Miles's favorite person. No, not me. Hopefully, Miss Harley Starling. I don't know if I've ever enjoyed personally aggravating someone as much as Harley. And I know she's instantly nervous after hearing me say that and probably covering herself with a blanket. She gets cold a lot. But she's almost like that kid from Charlie Brown, Linus, the one with the blanket. I'd grab a blanket as a prop if I had one. But yeah, it kind of keeps her safe for me usually. But Harley came into Campus Country not knowing much about running sound, or I guess she'd probably admit really not knowing anything. I definitely know I traumatized her a time or two by probably expecting her to know or do something a little bit quickly that she probably had no real idea about. But through all of my torment and some help from some other people along the way, I really think she came quite a long way and really excelled by the end of the year as a sound engineer. By the time we were wrapping up that last show in February, I really got the feeling that she had a pretty good idea of what I was sort of wanting the group to sound like without really having to explain just every little thing. So, a funny story, if you ever see a lady or a young woman looking kind of upset, almost as if she's been crying, it's probably not real smart to say, "Hey, are you all right? You look like you're about to cry." That usually doesn't work out too well, but hey, live and learn, I guess. Also, it's just as easy to embarrass Harley by going the complete opposite way and singling her out with a comment at the end of rehearsal, telling her what a great job she's done. She's probably going to hide under a blanket in either scenario. But ultimately, I truly enjoyed working with Harley this year, and I think she mostly enjoyed it too. And I think she's going to miss me, but I'm definitely going to miss her. So, Harley, we'll miss you. I can honestly say that I thought I would never have a steel guitar player in Campus Country. It's just sort of a dying art these days. And Jacob was a very big and welcome surprise. His presence alone will make this group stand out in my mind from every other year that I've worked with. And I'm so glad that Jacob had the work ethic to figure out stuff like steel and dobro and mandolin on all the songs we played with pretty much no help from me because I'm not much help on any of those things. He also played a really big role in our group vocally, especially as the year went on. And there's really probably never been a person to be in Campus Country for 1 year that I want more to come back for a second. But I'd like to thank Jacob for playing his part and helping to make Campus Country country again. Beyond just playing country instruments, it always brought a smile to my face to see him and the boys like John and Trevor and Brandon out hunting or shooting skeet or doing all that other Southern guy stuff. Even though I'm not a country boy, I definitely appreciate that camaraderie and the skill set that lifestyle can nurture. I can foresee Jacob doing great things. I'm a big fan of his songwriting. He seems to have a really good ear for recording and mixing. And beyond me being sad for selfish reasons, I'm sad that Jacob is leaving because I would have loved to see how he would develop in year two and I'm sad for all the first year members that joined the group with him that have to see him leave so soon. So, Jacob, my friend, we wish you well and we'll miss you. And there's only one person left, and I know she's probably getting pretty teary. My final speech brings me to our only third year member, Miss Bailey Fisher. Bailey is fortunate in that she's been a member of the three best campus country groups in quite a while. All of those groups had a very different personality for sure, but Bailey fit right in and made fast friends all 3 years. I told Bailey that she was my favorite girl in the group last year, and I'm not sure if she believed me at the time, but this is why I said that. My favorite thing about Bailey is her musical taste and her willingness to take chances. On pretty much every concert these past few years, Bailey sang at least one song that I had never heard before she asked to sing it. So I was always excited to see what song she was going to pick whenever we had a new rehearsal cycle coming up. And there was always at least one or two that I just thought was great and I'd get really excited about, and I'd take it over to Mr. Mitchell and play a song for him, and we would both agree that was definitely a Bailey song. Many of those songs are on my Apple Music playlist now, and I listen to them all the time. But not only that, she's willing to push herself and sing songs that aren't always safe. Most singers usually aren't up for that, and not all these go super well every time in rehearsal, if we're being honest, because a lot of them are really demanding. And she's hard on herself in rehearsals, and she usually knows when she doesn't sound her best. I don't usually have to point that out to her, but she consistently works and gets better and better. And with Bailey, that's just more noticeable than some singers. And to me, that's extremely admirable. Because it's easy to just play the same old stuff all the time. It takes courage to try something difficult and to struggle with it. So I wish more members in the group would follow that example. Looking back to the end of last year, I remember us talking about how sad we were that, people like Garrett or Michaela were leaving, and we just thought things might not be as fun this year. So it's been really fun for me to see Bailey become such good friends with some of the new members like Trevor or Harley and Brandon. Even picked her out a boyfriend. What a guy am I. But anyway, back to the serious stuff. I believe that Bailey's become someone that the younger singers in the group look up to, and I'm so sad that she and all the other singers weren't able to get or not just singers, the whole band weren't able to get their final show. So Bailey, you'll be missed, but maybe it's not the end just yet. These past few weeks have felt different than the end of any other year, for me anyway. Usually I'm constantly texting with everyone who's about to leave and we're reminiscing about everything. But this year I've hardly done that at all. I've talked to some of the departing members here and there, but it's just not been nearly the same. It's almost like we don't want to believe it's over, and maybe it doesn't have to be. So I've got some good news for Bailey and everyone else who is leaving. If you would all like to, and you'd be willing to rehearse with us at least a couple times for it, I'm going to let all of you come back and perform a set on our next showtime, whenever that might be. I hope you'll want to do some of the originals that we had planned on doing, because I think that would be a lot of fun, and I know we were particularly bummed out about that. But we'll talk about that soon. I just wanted to let you guys know that, so settle down for a second if you're going crazy. I've got one little last bit to say, and then I'll leave you to the rest of your evening. Even though we've never been this isolated from one another at this time of year, I hope it doesn't break the bonds that you formed. One of the greatest things about living in our time in the 2000s is being able to see one another and speak whenever you'd like through video, chat, or any other way. I know you're probably all tired of Zoom, like streamed classes and stuff like that. But I hope you all realize how blessed and fortunate you are to have this sort of technology to be able to sort of approximate an in-person conversation. Global pandemics have happened before, many times. These are not unprecedented times. I'm sure you've heard someone say that. There's been pandemics before. The world survived then, the world will survive again. But I truly hope that neither you or your loved ones are affected by this virus in the coming weeks and months. Please continue to keep yourselves and your loved ones safe. But please, reach out and spend as much virtual time with everyone as much as you can while you can. I'm really proud of this group, and I will miss you all. I miss you already. I look forward to the time that Campus Country is able to get together again. Thanks for watching. Best wishes. See ya.